Peace and blessings. Welcome to my happy place, Diva G's Reborns. I am Regina. Today we will begin a series that I hope will be helpful and enlightening as well as enjoyable. The series is titled A to Z 1, 2, 3. And that is the beginning of reborning, the entire process of a reborning a vinyl doll. So we will start just shortly. I wanted to just let you see one of the dolls that I have been working on, that I was waiting for her eyes to come and all of this and all of that and da 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 da, and some eyes came and I didn't like the way they looked. So now I just want to show you our beautiful, beautiful Ginger part of her. She's complete. Her hair just has to completely seal and with her eyes. So I don't know if you can see how beautiful she looks. She has this absolutely beautiful, beautiful chocolate, deep, deep chocolate complexion. She she has afro hair that can be kind of twist it so that it curls, or braid, or what have you. But I'm very pleased with the way she turned out. Her mouth, her lips, everything is just so beautiful with her. These beautiful eyes. She turned out really, really beautiful. So I'm waiting again for I put her eyes in, so I'm just kind of waiting for everything to dry. Her eyes only just came today. So, because the other ones that I had, I tried, I didn't like them, and I tried another pair, didn't like those, and I ordered it. So, nonetheless, here is our beautiful Ginger, and I think she is looking very, very nice. You can see there is a bit of mid-face highlight, a little bit. You can see some of the deepening with the ears, and yes, so she looks very, very lovely. She's not, obviously I didn't, do her hair or anything just yet, but, because I just put the eyes in and everything, so everything is sealing right now. So yes, but I'm very pleased with her. And I hope that you like her too. Those beautiful eyes, rooted eyebrows, eyelashes, and hair. Beautiful. Let me put her away. Another baby that I'm very pleased to show you. I know I did show her um, on a video, as well as I added her into a video of me opening a kit, but I just love the way she came out, and yeah, so she's really gorgeous. She looks so cute. I don't even have her clothes on because I love, the way her skin turned out. This is the 19-inch Reborn Alyssa that I reborned her to be a baby with albinism. So she has this beautiful blonde, pale blonde afro hair, and her skin coloring, everything is just so beautiful. I did make a short with her, so please do take a look for that, because in the short you can see her coloring a little bit better. Um, and I love the way her hands, her lips, everything just kind of turned out really, really lovely with her. So yeah, this is Reborn Alyssa, and she is a 19-inch Reborn. She's just gorgeous. I love the way her hands turned out, her nails, just everything. I know this video is not about her, but um, yeah, yeah. So she just turned out so lovely, I think. Okay, so we will put our baby Alyssa off here to the side, and we will take out our kit that arrived on yesterday. And the only thing that's left for me to do with this kit is to go ahead and go with the alcohol. Okay? You always should wash your kit with a detergent like possibly Dawn, something like that, that can remove any grease that might be on the kit. Because I think when the kit is, made in the factory, I believe that they may have some type of oil or grease that is on the kit, to make it come out of the mold. So, and she has her name happens to be um, Onyx, and she comes with a COA. I got her from Reborns, and they were so kind. She came with a body. The body is very nice, and they also gave a disposable diaper with her, which I thought was a very nice touch. So we will be using her for this particular series. Let my chair more comfortable for me. Now, what I like to do is I use 91% isopropyl alcohol, and what I do is I take out maybe 2 or 3 of these cosmetic rounds. I like these particular ones because they're pretty much absorbent, and they have two sides to them. They have 2 sides to them. So I'll take out 2. And these happen to be Whispers cotton rounds. Um, I also have some that I use for, removing eye makeup. So I'm just going to take out 2 here. And I like to use a glove when I'm doing this, because the alcohol is very drying to your hands. And anything that's excessively dry to your hands can cause possible cracks, and cracks can lead to possible any it's a portal of an entry for infections, bacterias or things like that. So I'm just wetting it, you know kind of nice, well. And I'm going to start with her beautiful face. She has such cute little dimples. And you want to get everywhere inside, everywhere. Again, remember you do the wash with the Dawn first, or whatever similar type of detergent that you can use. You don't let the water go inside the kit itself, just on the outside, and because there's no need for it to be inside. No need for that. So, has everyone been enjoying the new year thus far? I hope so. I hope that you have been enjoying the new year, that you have a peaceful, healthy, prosperous new year, you know, and her beautiful arms and hands. Okay, and I'm going in with the hands. So now what I am going to do is I'm going to pause the video because I don't think it's necessary that you have to watch me do this portion. Um, so we will pause the video and I will come back. Okay, so we're back. The alcohol is flashing off, meaning that it is drying. And what I do is I prime the kit. This helps the paint to actually stick better than it without the kit being primed, especially using air dry paints. Okay, so what I do is I mix this ahead of time. Now I don't have to mix a fresh batch because I've been painting, so I don't have to mix a fresh batch. However, I am going to show you how to do it. Now, what you do is you see this Liquitex Ultra Matte Gel. This is something that you should definitely keep on hand. Now, what I do is since I use it for so much, I have a larger container that I use. So it's the same thing, okay, but I use a larger container. Now, what's important is with the oh, let me take a look at my notes so we can kind of go a little bit better in order. All right, so the kit, like I said, I did purchase that from Reborns. There are a number of legitimate websites that have kits that you can purchase. Um, so depending on your kit, you need to know if the kit has open eyes, so you would need eyes the proper size. And from the website, it generally tells you what size the eyes are. Pretty much a baby that is from maybe 18 inches to maybe 21 inches will usually use 20 mm millimeter eyes. Sometimes it may be a little bit different, but the website will generally tell you that information. So the other important thing that you must have is you need to have a drying rack for your kit. Now, my drying rack, I have different drying racks. I have bottle drying racks, I have mug trees, I have different things. But one of the ones that I really, really like the most is this one that I made myself. Okay. I picked up the wood actually from, believe it or not, the Dollar Tree. The Dollar Tree has dowels, these wooden sticks. You can't quite see it. This one is about probably maybe 20 something inches, this middle one. And then they have some that are a little bit smaller. Now, the tall one, I have, I put the head on. Now, what I do is I get the dowels, and even this wood here is from the Dollar Tree. Okay, so you figure one dowel, which is $1.25. This particular dowel is I cut this partially in half. Okay. And so that's another 125. And then some smaller dowels they had. And I got that. And I cut that in half to make these two. So, and then the piece of wood also from the Dollar Tree. And I had some screws. And what I did was I went on ahead and I put the screws. Try to show you a little bit. Okay. I just put the screws in. Okay, like that. And so I have a drying rack that's a little bit taller than a mug tree, and it holds the limbs, what I think are a little bit better. Because what I did was I made for the legs a little bit taller than the arms so that I would be able to, have it the way that I wanted, the way that I felt would be most conducive to the way that I like to reborn. So now, so that is, you must have obviously um, a drying rack. I'm going over everything kind of like brand new, because there may be people who are watching that have never reborn, and this might be their first video while they're doing some research. So the kit, as I said, you get the kit from various vendors. I'm going to have that listed in the details of this video. The body, you need the body for the doll. If the doll is open eyes, you need eyes. You may consider hair, depending on if you want to root the hair, or you may paint the hair, or you may decide to make the baby bald. And after you wash the kit with Dawn or another similar soap, you let it air dry, and then you wipe it down with the alcohol and you let that flash off and air dry. And you always need paper towels. You always need some paper towels. And what I do for my table, I have these pads. They're not puppy pads, but they're very similar. And I like these because I do have a cat. Let's see if I can show you. And so they may be a little bit smaller, but I like them, and they have I like them. I like them very much. And they have a little bit of a fragrance that doesn't hurt the kit or the paint, because on top of the pad, I do also have the paper towels. And I layer my paper towels because, especially when you're pouncing, when you're actually doing the painting, you pounce off the paint, and you need to have something there to be able to catch that paint. So, yeah, so that's what I do. And I have a few different layers, and then I also layer with something that is non-porous, so that it can so that the paper towels will absorb the paint. However, it doesn't go through to the rest. So that's what I do. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, so I have another. I have the chuck. Then I have what this is here. This is a silicone mat. Silicone. This is a type of silicone that's okay. It does not interfere with a vinyl doll, because if it was the ultra soft silicone, like a silicone doll, that would be different. But this is not that. So, okay. So let's go ahead into looking at what it takes to mix the um, the primer. Okay. So again, like I said, I don't need to actually mix primer. However, I want to show you what the consistency would be. Now, I'm just going to take a little bit on here on my, what do you call, popsicle stick. Okay. And all of the supplies that I'm using, I will have them listed again in the description. So this is important to use, right? So I'm going to use a little bit of that. And then I take, for my primer, I like to use a little bit of the Dura Clear Satin Varnish. Okay. I like to use a little bit of that. Not a whole lot, just a couple of drops, a few little drops of it. You know, almost half and half, right? Okay. Ooh, that spray popped it in my face a little bit. Let's get that off. Okay. Now, one of the things that is extremely important is using distilled water. Okay, so you're using distilled water. And what I do is I use the distilled water. Where's my distilled water? So you see, we have this is nice and creamy. Now I'm going to mix this. Okay. I'm only mixing a very small amount because I already have some mixed already. So, and what I do is I just use a little bit of, I mix a little bit of the distilled water. I have a mixture that I use with distilled water and this wetting aid, this wetting agent from Golden. Okay, this gives you, it helps the, when you're using, it helps the medium to stick to the kit and gives you time to work. Where it doesn't, because we just mix it with the water, it will run off. So it'll be harder for you to paint with it, and it'll be kind of like you're chasing the paint. So what I do is I take um, about 10% of the wetting agent, okay, small little amount, and then the rest I put the distilled water in here. Now, because I already have some mixed, I'm just going to mix up a very small amount. And and you go in a little bit, kind of like, once you mix this, you will have it for a while. Okay, especially if you're making multiple dolls. Now, water does have what is considered like an expiration to it, because if you do not put drops in it to help prevent bacteria, it will kind of begin to go sour after a while. But what I have found is that I'm painting so often that it's that's not happening. I mean, I have paints and different things that I have been using for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. So Um, Now what I'm doing is I'm mixing this to a consistency of kind of like, a little bit, kind of like skim milk, kind of like skim milk. Like if you can see on the side, it kind of comes up. I like using clear glass containers. This one happens to be plastic because I'm just doing like a little bit of a demonstration with this one. But I do like using clear because you can see what you're doing. So it's like a little bit like skim milk. Let's see. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to have some wedges, and these are just regular cosmetic wedges. They're rather firm. They're not the Whisper ones that you may hear many people use. They're not. And what I do is I take it and I rip it in half so that it creates a little bit of a texture. Okay. Now what I will do is I'm going to take the doll head. I like to go in the same order, pretty much all the time. I like to go ahead with the head, the left arm, the right arm, the left leg, the right leg. That's how I like to do it. So with this, I'm going to take my paint brushes. I have certain brushes that I like to use for priming, and I like to keep some distilled water in a container so that I can clean my brushes in between. And I have this little, actually, it is a sponge holder, but it helps to be able to clean the brushes because actually they do have some listed like that for purchase. So since I already have the wire piece, I figured, let me just stick it in here and have it myself. So the distilled water is something that you will use quite a bit as well. So I like to have the distilled water so that I can clean my brushes in between. Okay, so, and my sponges, I'm just going to kind of moisten them a little bit with some distilled water that I have in here. Just kind of tap them a little bit and then wring the water out and then pounce it a little bit. Okay. So what I like to do, I like to have, I like to use a brush this size. This is, I think this is a half inch. And then I like to do some refining with the smaller one. And I'll have some toothpicks also because you want the primer to go everywhere on the kit, but you don't want it to pool anywhere. So we're just gonna go just like this. Okay. Now, as you can see, I have time that I'm able to work with the kit, and um, it's not the water's not, it's not running, because don't have this medium of the Liquitex, you will find that things will run and you'll get streaks. So using the Liquitex as well as the wetting agent, that helps to avoid that. So now I'm going to pounce this around. I usually do it the same way all the time so that I know where I am. I like to do the back of the neck, the back of the head, up to about the middle part of the ears, and then afterwards I do the ears. After I go ahead and I'll do the ears. And then I make sure that I go around, go inside good, because that's where sometimes you might find that you have an issue with the paint adhering to the kit. So I'm taking off anything excess and putting it on the rest of the kit where I need it to be. We don't have to waste anything, right? Okay, put that in the water. And then I'm going to pounce around on the kit and the ears. And this also gives a little bit of a texture. You want to make sure that you get everywhere. You're not globbing it on, but you want to have a nice coat. And usually what I do is I'll do 1 to 2 coats to prime the kit. Generally, by the time you finish doing the face and all of the limbs, it's dry and you can go ahead with another layer if you desire to do 2 layers. And then we're going to go ahead and pounce again. Pouncing just kind of blends it out, makes it even. It also will remove any excess that's there. Okay. And you want to make sure that you're getting inside the nose as well as the lips, the mouth, everywhere, because you want the paint to be able to stick. And that's the purpose of the primer, to help it to stick. Not everyone primes, but I find that it does help. It saves time because the paint sticks. And yeah, so now I'm just kind of cleaning out any of the crevices because we don't want any excess to be in there, but we do want to have, okay? So you see, now what I am going to do, I'm going to do one limb, the hand, and what is that little spot there? Hmm, let's see. It's like a little black spot. hmm Don't want anything on the kit that's not supposed to be there. Okay. I'm going to let that arm dry and I'm going to go on to the next arm. Now, for the arms, since they're smaller, I generally like to use the smaller brush on the fingers. Now, I like to work from the bottom, from the fingers up. This way you can have something to actually hold the kit. So I'm going on the fingers making sure that I get everywhere in between, everywhere, the nails, everywhere. Because it's something about kits. A lot of times, paint has, sometimes it won't adhere to the hands or the fingers as well as other parts of the kit. I don't know if it's because the surface is smaller or, I don't know, but so you pay particular attention to these areas as well. Okay. And I like to do maybe up to the elbow. And, if you have a system, it's kind of like a check and balance for yourself if you kind of work out a little bit of a system. Now, my system may not, be your system, but this is, what works for me to do it, to try to do it this way so I keep up with myself. Pounce out. If I think that there's any excess, I'll just press it down on my paper towel. Okay. Now I'm going to make sure that I go between the fingers and make sure that there's no excess, there's no buildup in the fingers or any of the creases, no excess. And if you wipe in the direction of the creases, it helps to remove extra paint. As though you can see, I'm going this way because that's the way the creases are going. So I'm going that way to help to remove anything that might be off the crease. And then it can kind of help it to come out. Okay. And it doesn't have to, again, this layer does not have to be very thick. It should be a rather sheer layer, and you want to make sure that you get everywhere on the kit, everywhere. You don't want to miss any part of it. You want to have everywhere on the kit done. Okay. And then you're pouncing out again. And it actually looks rather like skin. I don't know, you may not can see it, but it gives a little bit of a texture using when you rip the sponge. So yeah. Now I'm going to do the leg. Now you always want to make sure that you get the toes and the feet really well, because again, sometimes paint has a hard time sticking in these areas, and these are areas that also get a lot more friction from um, the doll being dressed and different things like that. So you want to definitely make sure that the paint is going to have the best opportunity to stick. And you want to make sure that you're getting the primer in the creases, because when you decide to paint the creases or use pencil or powder for the creases, you want to be certain that it's going to be able to stay in there. Here we go again. We pounce. And you will see the little bit of wet shine that when you are placing the primer on, kind of dulls down a little bit. You see, that part doesn't have primer, this part does. and I'm just pouncing it, which is helping to blend it. And I'm looking in between the toes to be sure that there isn't any pooling. And I see a little bit right here. And I can take my toothpick, go across, make sure. Okay, now I'm going to work on the leg. I like to do the leg and the knee, the lower part of the leg and the knee. And then I pay particular attention to the back of the knee, the back of the leg, the next application. Okay, I will take the smaller brush and go in between here. Okay. Going around the back of the leg. Off. Oh, one of the other things that I frequently will use is when I'm painting, I will use the air purifier. I find that that is helpful also. Now I see a little bit of hair. Okay, because I was rooting and hair will end up everywhere. Even though I use a cape on the kit, hair cutting cape and everything like that, but nonetheless it can happen. So what I do is I just make sure to take the toothpick and get it off. Okay. The front of the leg. Again, like I said, you'll figure out a system that works for you. I'm going a little bit slower than I normally would because I'm doing a little bit more talking, explaining things. This baby has such cute limbs. Such cute limbs. Okay. So now I've done 2 limbs and the head. I'm going to pause and do the others and come back. Actually, I want to show you this hand because it's balled up. So I think I want to show you this one. So I'm taking a little bit of the primer and I'm going, let's see, I'm going this way with the brush so that it gets into the creases, the fingers, okay, and here. You want to make sure. Okay. One of the reasons that I like to do 2 layers is on the off chance that you missed any portion, the second layer will get it. Now we're going to make sure that there's no pooling in between the creases of the fingers. Okay. And so the rest, I will go in the arm. Make sure that I get in the crease of the arm really, really well. With the elbow, where the arm bends. And around. Okay. I kind of like to go in like these little circles so that you don't have any sharp edges. You can also kind of roughly rip the edges off the corners off of the sponge if you think that it's going to leave any square marks. However, I don't find that it does in the way in which what I'm doing. I don't find that it does. This baby has very nice limbs. I like getting kits, if at all possible, that they come with the bodies. Um, Reborn, they have quite a few kits that come with full limbs and a body, and which is quite nice. And so that price is, pretty much everything, unless, it's a pretty good price. I love Bountiful Babies because they do have affordable prices, and I like their kits, especially their Reborns. They are very, very cute, because they are sculpted from a 3D image of an actual baby. So I'm going to pause and do this. Okay, and we are back again. Now we will be using our Prismacolor. The Premier has a number of colors, 12 colors, and the primary color the color that I want to use is this blue. This makes very nice veins. This color is light cerulean blue, and it is PC 904. This makes a very nice vein color. Um, I'm not one who does a lot of veins. However, I do some. Veins are squiggly. So, one of the other things that I like to make sure that I do is that I have some distilled water in a small container. This way, if there's anything that I need to just use a small amount of distilled water, I'm able to just kind of do that. And yeah, so that's the thing that I want to be able to do. Gonna take, this is just a little bit of distilled water here. Gonna go in here. Okay, I'm just gonna wipe this out. It's not that it's dirty or anything, but I think I saw a piece of hair. So I want to get that out. Make sure that that's out. And I like to keep a little bit of this distilled water here so that I can wet a cute toothpick if I need to maybe get a piece of hair off or a piece of lint or something like that. But I don't anticipate, having much of any of those things, but I do like to keep that water available. So for the veins, again, are squiggly lines. I like this to do veins in the head. Uh, this way, if I don't like them, they're going to be covered by hair anyway. And I like using these Prismacolor pencils because, let's see if you can, mm, the nice thing with the Prismacolor pencil is it gives a very nice type of color and texture with it. I don't know if you can see. You see? Yeah, you could. And then what you do is you make it squiggly like a tree branch or a river, right? And then you take a cosmetic wedge and you kind of wipe it out on the edges, on the ends. My lighting, I'm so sorry. Is that any better? Let's see. Okay, so what I'm doing is the edges, what I'm doing is just kind of blending them out a little bit so that they're not harsh. And you can wipe across the entire vein to kind of soften it as well. Hmm. Wow. I'm so sorry that the it's not showing as well as I would like it to show. Hmm. The sun has gone down, so I've not even used having the sunlight. But okay, so let's see if I put it this way. No. So yeah, so I like to put some veins because some veins do add to some of the realism. I don't put any veins on the face. I don't do that at all. I just kind of I'll put more on the head and and around the ears. Oh, my light fell. Wow. Let me pause my video so I can secure the light back. And I like to do some veins around the back of the ear because sometimes this looks kind of nice when it's slightly visible. And sometimes I do a vein actually on part of the ear. And sometimes I take the vein like it's coming from the temple area so that you might see just a peak of it around the hairline. I don't do a ton of veins, but I do some. And they don't have to be all in the exact same place. You'll begin to figure out where you would like to put veins. Um, on the hands, the veins, you usually will see some veins on the hands, like right here. Let's see if I can make it easy. They kind of like, feed into the hand, into the fingers, I mean. I don't know if I can see any of it. I don't know. Um, Now we're making a melanated baby, so some of the veins may in fact disappear, but they are there. Now, veins that are visible are the ones that kind of come into the palm. And they kind of look like a Y, and around that base of that wrist. Let's see something. Trying to see if I can get it where you can see what I'm doing. It's so hard to see when the sun has gone down and you're not working with sunlight as on top of your regular light. But I think you can kind of see the vein a little bit. And one of the veins that's very nice to put is the inner arm right here, the brachial artery. Well, artery is not a vein, but but nonetheless, we put it. This is the artery that you feel for a pulse on a baby. This is one that you can generally feel. Now, what I am doing is the pencil. I don't have it like at a point. I have it slightly at an angle so that it's making the vein not, sharp like a pencil, pointy, but kind of blurred out. Okay. So I did the here, and I may do one on the underside of the elbow. I mean, below the elbow, I should say. And oftentimes, you can have a vein. If you look at yourself, if you're able to see your own veins, you will see some have branches, and some may be a little bit, a little bit straighter, and they fade into the skin. So I'm going to pause and come back. Okay, so I've done the veins, and some of the veins that I like to do on the foot are around the heel area and on top of the foot, part of the thighs. Let's see. And yeah, so, and again, like I said, on the hands, like this. Okay, the arms. All right, and what I did was I went around, like I said, on around the ears. Okay, some of this will be visible and some of it won't. Now, the other thing is that I like to do is I like to go ahead with what I call a foundation layer. And that is, I'm going to use, you have to think about what color, the complexion you want your doll to be. So I want my doll to be more of a brown, kind of like this brown. So my foundation layer is just going to be a little bit lighter. I call it number 5, like a nutmeg type color. Okay, 5. So it's kind of like a brown, but it's kind of like a tannish kind of brown. Now, in order to get this color, what I did was, unfortunately, I don't think I have any right here. But what you can do is you have a brown color like this, a tannish brown color like this. Okay. And the way I showed you before with the drops, I'm going to show you how you would in fact mix it. Oops, here's the container. Okay, because I paint so regularly, I have used the majority of this brown color up already. I mean, I have some mixed already, I should say, but I'm going to show you how to mix it. Okay, so as an example, when you have your paints, you will have a color that is very similar to this. Okay, and this is just what I call a foundation layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what it is that I would do. Okay, as an example, let's just say it was this one. Okay, I would just take a few drops, a few drops. Kind of hard to say how many drops because I don't count drops. I really don't. I don't count drops. What I do is I look at the consistency. The container that I'm using is the one that I used already with the primer. Okay. Um, oh, wait a second. No, this is the one I used with the primer. It's okay. No big deal. No big deal. No big deal. No big deal. Okay, so let's see piece of hair, I think. Okay, so now normally what you would do is, again, with the Liquitex, you would take the cream. Okay, so we kind of want to go with the cream, which is the Liquitex. Okay, I'm just going to use a little bit, all right, because like I said, I already have some mixed, but I just want to show you what the consistency is that you would be using. Okay, come off, come off. Let me take the next videos won't be quite so long. So you have a little bit of the Liquitex. Okay. So you have a little bit of the Liquitex. Then I have a few of the drops of the paint that I wanted to use, right? Now, the satin glazing gel, this is important when you're mixing your paint because this will allow it to work very much like air dry paint. Excuse me, like acrylic paint. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This will help it to work more like heat set paint. okay? Meaning you will have time to work with it. So the satin glazing liquid, and of course you already know that we have the wetting agent and everything, okay? So what we do is we have our Liquitex Ultra Matte Gel, and then we're going to put in our, the paint that, we normally would be using. Again, like I said, I don't have any that, that needs to be mixed. So that's why I'm doing it this way. And then I would take one of my brushes to mix it. Okay. Okay, so I would mix it so that it's starting mixing. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to take some of my satin glazing liquid, okay, and just you would put about almost a little bit less than how much paint you put. So, we put some in, okay, because I just want to get you to see what the consistency should be. And we're going to mix this up some more. Okay. And then we're going to take our combination distilled water with the wetting agent. And we're just going to put a little bit in. Okay. Because we want this to be kind of like the consistency of almost like milk. Not skim milk, but milk. Let me put it in this container so you can see the side, what I mean. Okay, you see it's not like really dripping, right? You see? So if you put it on the side of the container, you see it just a little bit comes down, right? But it's not like dripping off the brush. You see? So when you're painting, that's the consistency that you want it to be. I hope this is helpful. I'm sorry that I didn't have to mix anything actually completely from scratch because I'm constantly painting, so that's the reason why. So you can see the consistency of this paint, the one that we will be using. So you always make sure that you stir it because the paints, they do settle. Okay, so they do settle. So we want to stir this, stir this, stir this. Okay. We don't want any lumps from the Liquitex or anything like that. So on the side of the jar, you can see it kind of runs a little bit, but it's not running just like water. But the thing with air dry paint is it does need to be somewhat thin. Um, okay, so since this is the exact same color, I'm just going to mix this in here together with it. Okay. Okay. Now, in between, I do have my brushes that are, I have with the distilled water because I do like to clean, make sure that I'm working with brushes that are, you know, um, softened and moist, right? So now we're going to paint um, the entire kit with this nutmeg foundation color, including the soles of the feet and the palms of the hands. We're going to paint everything. Now I want to make sure that I have sponges that are ready for use. Okay. So we have our sponges. Same idea. Ripped sponges dipped in a little bit of water just to make them not extra soft, but just not extra wet, but just a little bit so that they can move the paint a bit. Okay, so I want to show you the consistency while I'm painting it. And if I find that it's too thin, what I'll do is I'll add Liquitex. If it's too thick, then I add some more of the wetting agent. So you see, I have time to work with it. Okay, I seem to see a piece of hair. I'm gonna get that hair right off. It's better to get it off now rather than later because anything that you see now, it's better to get it off because otherwise you won't be able to get it off or you'll leave a mark on the doll, so you don't want to do that. So now we're pouncing. Now the thing about priming the kit first and then using the Prismacolor pencils, that helps the pencil to grab onto the kit. So that really does help to grab onto the kit. You see the consistency of the paint? You see, and we don't want to have it running. I'm constantly wiping my brush off so that it's not going to be too wet, but just wet enough. You see the consistency? And what happens when you're using the Liquitex and the other agents that I showed you, you'll find that you won't have all of that lint. And also, if you're using a purifier, an air purifier, that also helps to decrease the lint, or marks and different things like that. And what you try to do is you try not to go back over where you already went with the paint color. You try not to go over because otherwise you'll just kind of be pulling the paint off. Now again, I'm gonna go, the ears I'm gonna do again. I'm going to do the ears after because I have, like I said, I have a way that, that I like to paint so that I can be sure that I remember to do everything. Then I like to go around with my little circle. while I'm painting. I did, like I said, I was doing some rooting and some cutting hair. So I think this is one of the reasons that I'm seeing a little bit more than I would normally see. Okay. Now I go in the ears. Make sure that I get it in the ears and that I went inside the nose. You always want to make sure that you're getting inside the nose. And this doll has lovely dimples, so I want to be sure that I'm getting the dimples as well. And I'm pouncing off any excess paint. Because paint that pools will not give a good finish. It won't look good. It will look, I don't know, blotchy or something, so you don't want that. You don't want that. So the foundation layers on. Now, what I like to do, because the hands, the fingers are, smaller, I like to use a smaller flat brush. Stirring up my paint. Dip my brush in my distilled water back here. Because I want my brush to be kind of soft. And I'm pushing the paint off the brush so there's not any excess. And I'm just going to go over the kit, everywhere on the kit, making sure that I get in all of the crevices with this color, this foundation color. Some people pounce with a kabuki brush. I like to use the sponges. I find that it gives I like the finish that it gives. Sometimes the kabuki brush, it had been my experience, would sometimes leave kind of funny indentations, like funny little lines. Now I'm going on the rest of the arm, so I'm going to use a larger brush so that I can cover a little bit more. A little bit more real estate. And again, I still use my same, method of how I divide the limb. Okay. Okay, you probably can't see it, but I'm going to show you. The sponge is giving a nice skin texture. I know you can't see it, but I can see it. When you rip the sponge, it gives a nice texture. So now, if you just use the paint with distilled water by itself, the paint would be running and you would be chasing the paint and it would be drying while you're trying to apply it. And it would make it very challenging to use. So when you're using the other mediums, it gives you time to work, and you don't have to like feel like you're rushed, and you can have a much more relaxed, enjoyable painting session this way. I encourage you to look at other Reborn artists, air dry as well as heat set. You can learn something from, you can learn something from all of the various artists. You can take a little bit from each, and it can be very, very beneficial to you. So now we're going to go with the fingers. One of the things that I definitely want to show you on this video is deepening, the colors for your doll. When you're looking to make a melanated baby, there are certain areas that have a little bit more of a rich color, and it's important to know how to get that to occur, to help that to occur, and it look natural. Okay, so I'm going to do the rest of the limbs and come back. Okay, so we're now on to our next step. We are going to add color, eyelid purple, to help to deepen areas that need to be deepened. We're going to start first with the head. Parts of the head or that need to be deepened, excuse me. I'm going to use this small flat brush, and I'm going to go around the ears, the top of the ears, because in melanated children, the ears tend to be a little bit darker initially because the full color of the child hasn't yet come in. So you will see that the area is a little bit darker. Oh, I don't know if you could see where I put it. Oh, you didn't. You didn't see it. Okay, let me try this side where you can maybe. Okay, so the top of the ear, the top. Then we pounce that out a little bit. Now, while we have this brush in our hand, we're going to think about where else we need it to be a little bit deeper in color, that we can use this same brush. I don't want any pooling. Let's see, I don't want any pooling. Okay, so I'm going to take the Christina Woolly brush. I like this brush because this brush gets in to small areas. Let's see. You can see. See? It's very thin. Now, I'm going to go into the area where the dimples are, certain areas also on the face. So I'm going to work my way around. Now, another area that is a little bit deeper is inside the ear canal. Now, this particular kit doesn't have a deep ear canal, so we have to try to give the illusion of that. So using this eyelid purple in that area where the ear canal would be will help do that. Let's see if I can show you a little bit better. Okay, if you can see it, where I'm going. It looks a little bit wet, a little bit deeper in color. Okay. Another area that we want it to be a little bit deeper is we're going to go where the eyes, the upper and the lower eyelid meet. Okay. Where it meets. Not all the way to the end of this line here, but partially over. Where it kind of gives the illusion of the actual eyeball. Now this kit has a little bit of a under eye, slight little under eye bag. Nothing that's very deep, but I am going to kind of highlight it or give it a low light. I'm trying to work symmetrically. Okay. Now she does also have another area. I don't want to overemphasize it because I don't want her to look angry or frowning because she has such a cute little smile. But we do see a little line here, a little crease. So we're going to, because the eyelid purple is like a chameleon. If you put it on first, it kind of helps to deepen up anything that you put on top of it. If you put it on top of something, it just gives it a richer color. My toothpick. Anything that you see, as soon as you see it, if it's not supposed to be there, get rid of it. Okay, I'm dipping Q-tip in some distilled water so it was able to get off whatever. It looked like it was a little bit of hair. Okay, so let's go over the other areas. Now around the nose. I don't know if you can see. You want to try to make sure you get it as even as you can. We're also going to go inside the nose to give some depth. This color inside the nose kind of bumps it up as far as being able to get the color in there. Now also for melanated babies, you will also see a little bit additional color on the top of the nose. So in order to do that, I'm going to take this flat brush and go on this part of the nose. Okay. I had to put a little bit more light so that I could see a little bit better. Okay. So again, on the nose, on the flange of the nose. Okay. And we want to, the brush. Oh, the eyelid purple. That is a pre-made color. The eyelid purple. The only thing that I do with the eyelid purple is I mix it with the mediums the same way that you saw me do the brown, so that you have time to work with it. So yeah. Okay. Now another area that we're going to do, we're going to take, I want to make sure that I'm using the right size brush for the dimple. Gonna take this and just go inside the dimple because we're gonna want that to be deepened up a little bit. And then also with the lips, meet. This will give the illusion of shadow between the lips. Now she has dimple under her chin. So all of the dimples that are under her chin, I want them to be a little bit deeper in color. So I'm going to put the eyelid purple there. And I'm noticing she has a slight cleft on her chin. So we're going to put a little color there. Now, in between her little Cupid's bow, put a little bit of color there. I don't know if you can see a little bit of deepening in the color, but it definitely is a little bit deeper. Now, for the eyelid purple, I also want to outline her lips. And I am adhering to her lip lines. I'm not overlining, I'm just adhering to it. Then I'll just tap it so it takes off any extra. And then her lower lip is slightly inside, it seems. So I'm going to outline it as best as I can. Let's see. Yeah. Um, try to I don't know if you can see a little bit of color there. Okay, so yeah, that looks quite nice. Now, I am also going to go over some of the other areas that would have creases with the eyelid purple as well, because that will help to deepen the creases in a very nice way. Now, I'm going to just put a little slight bit of color here. I don't like a lot of darkness around the mouth because to me it's not so flattering. You have to have kind of subtle color shifts, color change. So yeah. Now what I want to do is I want to really go over the hands. Um, this video is quite long and I do apologize, but I guess you could kind of pause it and come back. I'm going to go over the fingers. Okay, on the knuckle area, there's always a deeper color. Now, I'm not talking about where the creases so much are. We are going over the creases. However, this eyelid purple will give a deeper color when we go across the creases. So on the knuckle areas of the fingers, that's what we're doing. This will give like kind of like a bit of a deeper shadow color so that when you do put the crease lines on, there's a deeper color around. So yeah. Also, I'm going to go in here because we're going to want to have a little bit of a, like a little bit of a shadow color in there. Now, on the nail that around the fingernails, we're going to go around the fingernails on the outside, on the skin of the not on the nail, just on the finger. I don't know if you can see that where it looks a little wet. That's where I'm going. And we'll do that with all of the around the nail beds, especially around the cuticle. And you would do the same with the toes. Now I'm going to also go around portions of the wrist, because in it will be a deeper color in here as well. And this just kind of helps to get it that way. And also on the underside. We're not looking to make it like it's a band around the wrist, but we just want to kind of feather it around. Now on the elbow area, we can also give a little bit of color on the elbow area. You see? And another area is on the top of the shoulder, the upper arm, I should say. In this area, oftentimes it's a little bit darker. See? Okay. Now let's see this hand here. This hand is a little bit different, so we have to go about it slightly different. Again, with the knuckle areas. And the knuckle area here. You see the little dimples, kind of like where the knuckles are. There as well. And again here. Part of the wrist. And the underside as well. But if you notice, I'm not making it like it's a stripe, right? It's like a feathered kind of look. Then we're going to do the arm up here again too. Same way we did the other arm. Right. And the elbow. Okay. Then for the foot, part of the area that's going to be a little bit deeper color, again, would be the toes. Oh, I think I forgot to go around the nail beds on that other hand. I'll do it now. And oftentimes you may see a little bit color there around the ankle. Okay. Now with the knees, we will also go around the knee. But we want to feather it so that it doesn't look harsh. We never want any harsh kind of lines with anything, right? We just want everything nicely blended. And then we also will do around the top of the leg. because these are areas that oftentimes have a little bit of more color. And even like in where the diaper area would be. Now I think I didn't do these knuckles either, right? I didn't do these knuckles. So let me make sure that I do the knuckles. Okay, and then this one I didn't do the around the nail beds. I'm bracing my hand on myself or my leg. The other thing too that I have to do is I have to go around the rims of my jars with a firm paper towel or towel and some distilled water to get rid of any excess, paint, because those crumbs, so to speak, can kind of end up in the paint and then on your kit if you're not careful. Because air dry paint is just that, it dries with the air. So when we're painting and it's open and we wipe the brush around the rim, um, it can dry and it can create those little crumbs. This kit, the arms holes are small, so it's kind of difficult to hold the kit. That's why you see me holding it on the actual kit itself. I'm trying to go around the nail beds. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Let's see. If I had the memory on my phone, I could do this overhead. Because I have what is it, 1 terabyte for my laptop, so I move things from the laptop to the memory stick or flash drive, and that works out quite nicely. Um, I have one for my phone, however, it's not that, it doesn't have that much space, so you know, I I have to get one that has more space. Because having that for my laptop, it's a game changer. I don't have to worry about it turning off in the middle of me recording. And it doesn't take that long to move things, especially if you move them right away, you know, and not have them multiples to have to move at one time. But even if you have to do more, you know, it really doesn't take that long though. It really doesn't. It can take maybe, I don't know, it may take about 3 minutes to move something. You know, you find it and then you um, drop it into the um, flash drive, and it works out quite nicely, and then it downloads it. And depending on how long the it is, that determines, and of course your Wi-Fi speed, that determines how long it takes. But it doesn't take long. It's actually really a matter of minutes. At least that's been my case. You know, that's been what I've experienced. It's been minutes. I think what I will do is I'm going to do this part, and then I'm going to end this video and come back with an additional segment of painting. I appreciate you being here following along. I hope that it has been interesting, helpful, and you know, if you're an artist, it may be something that is helpful. If you desire to be an artist, it may be something that's helpful. If you're a collector, it may be that you can see what it is that takes to create these beautiful art dolls. And then you might just enjoy watching. You know, even you may or may not be a collector at all, but just watching can be enjoyable as well. So, yeah. Now, what I am going to do also um, with the eyelid purple, I'm going to go back across the different areas on the face, and yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I would like to say thank you for being here with me in this new series. The title of the series is going to be something kind of like let's see, Melanated Reborns A to Z 1, 2, 3 with Diva G. Wow, bars. Okay. Um, Enjoy your day. Stay safe. Peace and blessings. Like, comment, subscribe, and share.